was told to stand here, so I will do that as I'm told. I don't know if I need to really go through the deck. I think maybe I'll just sort of keep some short remarks for everyone. I think first off, I think the partnership with TUCC has been a really core piece of what we've been able to achieve together since I started in this role over the last 2 years. So they've been a great partner, a great mentor at times, and a great translator as well, coming from both the private sector and the private development space. So I do want to recognize that partnership of Ron and the whole team. I think really, as we think about Kindred Works and that evolution from what was originally UPRC, was this really a different way of looking at property now within the denomination, thinking of it not just as a liability, but thinking of it as an asset, and an asset that can fuel mission in perpetuity. And I think that was a real cornerstone in terms of the General Counsel's office linking property and what we were going to achieve with mission, which is not just about ministry, but it's also about affordable housing, doing it in a way that is climate positive. So we set some very large goals for our projects about reducing embedded carbon in our developments, as well as not burning on-site carbon, for example, in our projects, and using 65% less energy, and doing things and using the leverage of property to support some bigger objectives like social procurement. So we've committed that 10% of all of our labor on a construction site will be with new jobs with equity-seeking groups. So really, how can we use property both to support mission, but also to be mission? And part of that is really thinking of property now as part of that common good and retaining it within the common good and under the stewardship of the denomination, as it has been for generations, so it can continue to deliver impact for generations to come as our communities of faith have. So that is really combining this idea around an asset that can fuel mission. And that's really what we do. And we're seeing more and more demand, not just from a development perspective. I think we're working with 65 congregations nationally across the country. That translates into about 4,500 units, but also around the community and the cultural space. How can these buildings that have served their neighborhoods really for many generations continue to do so in new and important ways, but also in ways that support ministry by driving revenue? And I think some of that partnership with TUCC about how to property manage, but how to also make sure that we're creating financially sustainable ecosystems so that these are assets and not liabilities. And I think that becomes core and a root to what we're doing and what we're talking about, and to make sure that we're providing space for future faith formation across the denomination. And we're now also working with other denominations. We have a partnership with the Evangelical Lutheran Church. I was just on a call with the Toronto Diocese at the Anglican Church as well, I think, who are all seeing the similarities in what we're doing and that convergence, if you will, of our work. So I think as we go forward, I think the growth, not just in what we're doing, which is really the development side, put simply building apartment buildings so we can help address the housing crisis that we all know we're facing here in Canada, but also the need to support congregations and property as we see volunteers aging and not being available, and having TUCC there to help support that, I think, is an important piece. Otherwise, so much of this property, I think, would be lost, and then lost from the common good forever. And I think that, again, ties into the General Council's strategic plan around common good as well. So that I hope, Ron, covers what you wanted me to cover. I didn't want to go through our process and everything else. I thought that was cool. Great. Thanks.
You too.